This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top here!
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get involved!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
It's a track which does not need an introduction. It is one of the staples, one of the first, one of the legendary circuits that you find around the world. It has been chopped, it has been changed over time, but the essence of it remains the same. The old airfield base in Northamptonshire, England. This is Silverstone and round 3 of your iRacing V8 Supercar Series, here brought to you on the iRacing Esports Network and presented by SimSpeed TV. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching around the world. It's Jake Sperry here in the commentary box, joined as ever by Jake Burton alongside me. Qualifying just about underway at the moment. We're about halfway through in the first time. Will be looking to come in on the board. One of them looking to get these times in is the 16 machine, Jordan Caruso, for Evolution Racing Team, making the run over to the line. Short run to the start-finish line, 2012. Good enough for fourth. Harley Haber, though, currently the quickest on the opening lap through at this point in time. So this is going to be a tough test of challenges here today. Burton at a track which very much is not your typical supercars track.
No, not at all. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, really excited for Silverstone. As I said last week when we were ending out the Sebring broadcast, I'm not a big fan of driving here. It's not a fun track to hot lap, but I think it always puts on a really good show with these wide corner entries and whatnot. Time's looking really good off the bat. Jake Maloney up in P1, however, relatively cold track tonight, so I don't think the track will be too slow on the first lap, but I think a lot of these guys will end up going faster on the second.
And that second lap is going to become key for everybody to get this right. Your top 5 at the moment: Maloney, Haber, Scott Freer, and then Danny Davison in 5th. Your 2 winners, first and second from last time out. Hampstead won. He's in 6th at the moment. And a poor opening lap from Madison Down. He's there in 14th place. So he'll be looking for a lot of improvement over the course of his next lap. And this is the thing about this circuit, Burton. It's very quick to get things wrong. It seems like it's such an easy place on paper, but it's a whole heap of waiting to put the throttle down, waiting for the right time to go and attack a corner, because not every corner here can be aggressive.
Yeah, that's it. I think smooth wheel work is really important, especially through the S-bend section that we see later in the lap, but also when you start to get on the throttle. This section that we're seeing, I believe that's Brady Myers. Oh no, we're on Kurt Stenberg now. Brady Myers was heading through before. Lots of really, really curved acceleration zones with these lock diff supercars. That rear end will start to spit out on you real quick, and that's going to be all your lap time as well as your tyres gone.
Well, Myers did go up to second on his first lap time, 3,000ths off of Jake Maloney. The second times now starting to come in. Madison Down, one of them, 2:09, moves to third place. Good time. Hampstead to the top, 2:07 as he went through. Improvements not for Danny Davison, but James Scott, the reigning champion, jumps up, but Maloney goes even better on a 2:05. A cut above with that time as he goes through. Some drivers look to improve. Christian Smart moving up there into 20th position. Some brilliant times coming through on the board. Here's Stenny now, trying to get through. Kurt Stenberg, big wide over the final curb, and I think that lap won't count. He was pushing just a bit too hard, handling up to 18th on the 2:01.4. We look back for drivers who could make improvements here, Burton, and you have to say, Brady Myers in 4th place has a shot.
Yeah, Brady coming towards the end of his lap now. He's done a lot of the hard sort of long corner stuff. Now he's got this really awkward and easy to get wrong chicane towards the end of the lap, braking about 130 meters before the corner. You got to get as close as you can to these apex curves without hitting them, because they'll just completely ruin your stability. Brady's done that pretty well, but he's going to get on the throttle facing a bit of understeer on the exit. No improvement from Mr. Myers.
No, he will go no higher than 4th place. Someone who's looking to find improvements is Sam Sutton right now as he heads through the club corner to finish the lap. And has he got any improvement left in him? The answer to that is time has expired. He did go 13th. He actually did go up to 7th right at the death. So Maloney on pole position, then James Scott alongside. Richard Hampstead starts from 3rd. Brady Myers in 4th. Then it's Madison down in 5th. And Jordan Caruso in 6th. Sam Sutton, his number reflects his position, 7th with Harley Haber 8th. Jordan Ross in 9th with Ross Rizzo in 10th.
As we flick over the page, we see a lot of our regulars we've seen over the last few weeks. Tom Freer in P11, Wayne Burke in 12th. He would have liked to have been a little bit further up there tonight. Danny Davison in P13, Andrew Dyson, P14, Ryan O'Sullivan, 15th. Corey Preston, pretty good result. I believe he had an injury which has kept him away from the car for a few weeks, but P16 for him. Adam Briggs, P17. Zach Hanlon, our guy we've seen come from the back even further forward throughout the season, in 18th with Lee Ellis and Damian Johnson rounding out the 20.
Sean Thompson starts 21st, Christian Smart in 22nd. Then you got Kurt Stenberg and Bo Cattell, Brian Borg and Martin Silvassi making up the 26 cars who have 2 minutes to get up onto the starting grid at this Arena Grand Prix layout of this Silverstone circuit. 18 corners, nearly 6 kilometers in length this track is. They head through this wonderful infield section from the old course, which will turn left at Abbey. They head right instead and head towards the village, so to speak. But what's very interesting, Trans-Tasman all on the left-hand side of the track. On the right-hand side, ERT and Altus looking to push. A couple of United cars there as well as they go through, just waiting for Wayne Burke to get up onto the grid. He's got 20 seconds go through and get on as he does right now for the One Performance team. Of course, Sam Sutton part of that as well. It's going to be a big challenge here today. It's 25 laps, 1 pit stop will be required. There's the green flag, and let's get ourselves going. It was a slow reaction time there as Hampstead bogs down and loses 3, 4, 5 positions into turn number 1, gets swarmed as he goes through, as they all filter through nicely. Sutton and Haber side by side as they go through. Immediately the Altus car, Myers trying to find a way past James Scott on the brakes. Maybe a bit of contact between them, and there's more contact. Sam Sutton off and disposed.
Yeah, a bit awkward this first few laps. I liken to this first few corners here at Silverstone to having 20 guys run down a hallway and try and fit through one door. It's a bit of a mess, and Madison Down profited quite nicely off the first lap. He's side by side now with Brady Myers heading into the old last couple of corners of the circuit. Brady's going to have the advantage, but if Madison can hold him, but Brady's giving him the slider, Madison's almost going to get him clear around the outside here.
He is trying, but it is a case of Noah's Ark racing right now, because you got behind all of this almost 3-1 in the exit. Haber's wanting in on the mix as well. Caruso was fighting hard with Hampstead, holding position for the moment, but it stays side by side for 3rd, 4th, 5th. Myers still on the inside as they head to Cops Corner and try and get this going. Haber's trying to open up the door, but Madison Down is wiser to that. He's going to keep the power down on the exits. Maggots and Beckett, they've spent half a lap side by side. Haber there almost getting turned in on there by Brady Myers, who wanted the apex. He eventually gets it. Haber got the brakes out, but it is a huge bottleneck and a lunge on Jordan Ross there by Wayne Burke. He's not going to get that at the Chapels corner, and Tom Freer, door shuts on him as he heads to the hangar straight. Here will come Andrew Dyson.
Yeah, Dyson with a little bit of momentum. I think we probably expected him to qualify a little bit better too. Tries to make the outside move work. Freer's deep, and he's into the back of, who was that? Wayne Burke there, and now there's going to be contact on exit. Lots of trouble going on here on the corner exit there.
Wow, they all filter around somehow as they go through, and on top of that, Myers goes around, contact with Caruso. He'd been overtaken by Harley Haber after a brilliant move down the inside, and he is deposited just like Sam Sutton was to the back of the train. A hectic lap, score complete. Not for the front two though. Maloney and Scott have broken away to the tune of 2 seconds within the opening lap itself, so great work there, but the pack right now is Davison and O'Sullivan and Wayne Burke. This mid-pack is where the big scrap is starting to form. One vehicle's going to go straight on. That's Christian Smart, I do believe it is, as they go through, and it is. And he's gone straight to Narnia, and back he comes for turn 4.
Yeah, big lock up there. These guys need to consider this is a long race. There's 25 laps around a track that takes well over 2 minutes to do a lap of, so we've got to almost hour-long race on our hands, so I think some of these guys need to play it a little bit smarter. That first lap was very messy from a couple of guys. What I'm really impressed with is Jake Maloney. He's a guy who, over the last couple seasons anyway, seems to not have quite put the effort in of some of his TTR teammates, and he's really made a statement tonight to come out and put 2/10 on the rest of the field, including 4 of his teammates to get pole, and now lead this race with our last season champion trailing close behind is a big statement from Maloney.
It certainly is. He's normally more akin to doing last to first challenges and improve his driving skills, his battling skills for moments like this where James Scott could be a big player in the game. At this point in time in the race, they've just got to keep themselves consistent. Strategy could be a key factor for the way this race is going to go. But the Hangar Straight comes along once again for these drivers. Richard Hampstead closing in on Jordan Caruso here. This is the battle 5th and 6th on the road, but just not quite close enough on the brakes through that section. But leaders right now really close together here as James Scott still just shadowing the back of Jake Maloney. It's almost a case of, well, time is all about, let's see what you've got, Maloney, and I will try and work you out and make sure that the position will be mine.
Yeah, I'm not sure myself on what the fuel strategy is for tonight, but another consideration for James Scott is if he can tuck in behind Jake Maloney. We've got a lot of long straights here. That TTR Commodore can pull that ERT car along down the straights, meaning he can sort of get off the throttle a little bit early, come into the braking zone, save a bit of fuel here and there, and if we do need to pit, that'll be time in the pits as well as a car that's far less stressed under brakes, meaning he's looking after those front tyres too, which he can then attack Maloney with later.
Ooh, round you go. Damien Johnstone in at Aintree Corner, and he's going to have to try and find himself a way to get going again. He doesn't stop. Roman Grosjean's his way around, and he is dispositive. I've said that for the 3rd time. I'll find a different one. He's dumped to the back of the field of his own accord.
Yeah, a bit of a shame for Damien Johnston. I know last week he was pretty upset that he had so many consecutive rounds involved in accidents or being taken out. But yeah, he'll put his eyes forward. He's still got a long way to go in this one.
Well, it's going to be very interesting here as Richard Hampstead still trying to battle with Jordan Caruso here as they head towards Maggots and Beckett, and having their scrap out there. Also Kurt Sternberg and Sam Sutton going at it, and there is one jarring thought at the moment right now as it goes through into these next few sections of the track. It's just how many vehicles are caught in that 1 second window where they're not pulling away. This is a draft track here, Burton, but they're just nowhere near enough to make this move, as Hampstead is the closest he's been for a long time here on Caruso. May have a shot down to the inside, thought better of it on the brakes.
Yeah, that's it. I think the big thing with a lot of these curved braking zones that we see at this track is obviously no ABS in these cars, unlike your GT cars and whatnot. So if you pinch a front brake, as we saw Christian Smart do earlier in this race, you end up off the track completely. And if you've got a car on your outside that you're trying to pass, that's going to take you both out of the race. So I think a lot of these guys sort of are starting to realise, hey, this is a 25-lap race. We're going to be racing for an hour here, guys. Why don't we just take it a little bit easy, be a bit smarter about our moves and make sure we're not doing any damage and costing any time.
And that's the key as well. It's only lap 4 they go on to right now as they think about, well, where's the right place to go and attack. Maloney doing well, but look at Harley Haber right now. Took another 1/10 of a second out of Madison down that last time by, and the young stalwart, the firecracker of a racer that is Harley Haber, is about to go with one of the coolest heads in the game in Madison down, and that is going to be a monumental scrap, you would feel, as they head into the Brooklands corner.
Yeah, possibly, but I don't know. I think Harley is very predictable. I think we'll probably see him attack Madison the first chance he gets, but I think Madison knows who he's racing, and he knows that that fight for the lead could fire up, especially with Maloney involved. So I think certainly Madison will just be playing his cards right, trying to minimise his losses. I don't think he's got the pace at the moment to catch the front guys. It doesn't seem it based off his qualifying performance and sort of the race pace we're seeing at the moment. But I think certainly if those guys trip over each other, he'll be there.
Look at Sam Sutton, gets the crisscross done on the exit there of Luffield Corner, down the inside of Copse on Kurt Stenberg, and can he hold it together with a side-by-side to Maggots, and through the rights they go along, Beckett's this left, and there they go, just about getting it done. Sam Sutton with just a car width there, getting the move, scored complete, a great overtake then, right in the late part of the field as they all went on through. So that's a good, strong scrap going on. But let's talk strategy for the moment, because Jordan Ross, I think, is going to be one of these drivers primed in position to gain a couple places when it comes to the stop for the Synergy car.
Yeah, he's certainly playing his cards right here. He knows that he's got the likes of Richard Hampstead and Jordan Caruso, some of the feistiest guys we've seen in the last few weeks. So I think he's just saving some fuel. Jordan hasn't quite had the pace in this new car that he had in the last car, but he's coming along nicely here at Silverstone.
He certainly is. One vehicle who's a lap down is Ross Ritto. He's down on pit road. He has been for a very long time, and I'm just wondering what happened to him to cause his race to suddenly fall into disaster over a lap ago. He came down into the pits of his own accord, so that is a telling sign of what happened to him, as I believe he's been in and out and then back in again. So whatever's happened to him here, Burton, it happened on the opening lap, and his race is all but over.
Yeah, it looks like he may have had his handbrake get unmapped. So these new cars here in iRacing, last time we got them, now have a handbrake or a line locker, so you can launch the car off at the start. And of course, without it, that'll be a jump start penalty from Mr. Rizzo. So I'd say that's what ended his night. A guy who loves to profit off other losses has had some losses of his own tonight, unfortunately.
He has, and it feels similar to what happened a week ago to him as well, where he couldn't get the finish that he necessarily desired for Trick Esports. So he'll have to come back and use a second of his 4 drop rounds then to get the result that he needs once again. Or he's got to try and race these other splits. But of course, these other splits that come up here, Burton, aren't necessarily as strong in terms of strength of field, which is determined by the iRacing iRating system, which is championeered and revered like the safety rating system, which has been used in pretty much every other game as a gold bearer standard for drivers out there on the road. So you have to say that drivers with iRating and the higher iRatings they've got, they only target 1 or 2 races over a week. You've got to be in those races if you want to try and capitalise.
Well, that's it. Our car 1 and 2 tonight. Madison Down is post 8,000 iRating, which is only a very small percentage of iRacers in the world that have that. And Richard's quite high as well. I think he's a bit under 7K. So having those 2 guys there, compared to some of the guys at the back in terms of iRating, is worth sort of 2 or 3 cars worth of iRating. So when these guys only race once or twice a week, that's where we get those booming sort of 4,500 plus sort of softs. So really maximising your main race is really important, as you say.
And maximising it is what these drivers are doing, and Maloney keeping an arm's width away from James Scott, with Madison down in 3rd, 3 seconds adrift of your race leader, and ultimately now starting to try and stretch his legs with a Harley Haber, who typically here, Burton, uses his tyres a lot more aggressively than the Trans-Tasman machines, than a lot more other machines, and maybe it could be a case that Haber has hit that limit here on lap 6 and will be starting to look back at the likes of Jordan Caruso, another young starlet of talent, Hampstead, Ross Dyson, Davison, Berg, all in a train. Ryan O'Sullivan trying to stay on the back of it here with the top 11 cars split by 9 seconds on the road.
Yeah, that's it. Another thing you got to realise for Harley Haber as well is he's extremely talented, and we've seen him put some awesome races and awesome pace on in the last few weeks, but he is fighting Madison down, you know. Madison is far from a slouch, arguably one of the best, if not, you know, top 3 in Australia in terms of sim racing, and especially in terms of the supercar. So, yeah, really, really hard for a guy like Harley to keep up with someone as consistent as Madison, but nonetheless, I would like to see him catch him and have a bit of a fight, because I think that lead is starting to just slip out of Madison's grasp.
It certainly is slipping out of his grasp at the moment. Here comes Brady Myers, though, down the inside of Sean Thompson in the KRF, the driver's seat car, but Thompson's still got something on the exit. Bit of contact there, and give credit to Thompson. He is going to fight this one here all the way to the Vale and Club Corner, and on the Vale, he's still got the position, so Brady's going to have to work doubly hard.
Yeah, that's it. Bear in mind as well, Sperry, we mentioned the iRating system before. The safety rating system is something as well that iRacing brings into effect. And Brady had a couple of first corner contacts and a spin. And at a track where it's really easy to get 1Xs as well, he's got to probably preserve his incidents, because once you get up there towards 17, you get a drive-through penalty, which will turn his race from bad to worse. So I think Brady's got to be a little conservative here as he has a dive, gets down the inside, and he's going to have Sean Thompson clear.
What part of that was conservative then, Burton?
I don't know. I made the wrong call. But, I think Brady knows he's got the speed over a guy like Sean Thompson. Sean's he's been around a long time and he's very quick, but Brady is, he competed in the E-Series last year. He is one of the best in Australia, and he's certainly out of position.
Well, he is out of position, but he'll try his best to recover, and he knows next up on his hit list is Kurt Sternberg in the Trans-Tasman machine for 17th place on the road. So that's going to be his next challenge in terms of this one. In terms of your biggest movers and shakers in the field, Andrew Dyson is up 6 places today, as is Zach Hanlon, Lee Ellis, also Kurt Sternberg up 6. So that's 4 drivers who share biggest mover and shaker with 6 positions gained. But of course, that could change very quickly here for the likes of Andrew Dyson right now, because he knows that behind him is a very, very egregious Danny Davison, who wants to try and get through and be the leading Exto Gaming car in 8th place.
That's it, and it looks like Zach Hanlon, our guy we've known to be one of the biggest movers and shakers, has had a bit of a slowdown, and that's going to put him in a 2-car battle here with Adam Briggs as they head down towards the final complex of corners. Adam Briggs is going to have the inside. I don't think Hanlon's going to give it up easy, though. He's going to maintain an overlap, and they come together. Yeah.
And worse than that, Sutton's going to get a tap as well as he goes through. Briggs survives it, but that's always the difficulty around that section of road, Burton. It's a line where you expect a driver to back off, and when you don't, 2 into 1, well, the maths doesn't lie, it never goes.
Yeah, well, maybe the smart thing to do for Zach might have been to back out, but he had track position, He still had an overlap there. He had every right to keep his nose there. We have the last complex at Road Atlanta has a very similar complex of corners, and we see that accident happen so often. So real shame for Briggs, but maybe could have left a bit more of a wider girth.
Well, here's Wayne Burke right now trying to get himself involved at the moment as he looks to try and get past Danny Davison for 9th place. Overall, this is going to be interesting right now, because he's getting a good run off the exit there of left field corner, but he's just not got enough straight, you feel. They can go really far over that right-hand bit as well, where you couldn't do on the legacy circuit. Of course, iRacing converting some of those old circuits into legacy tracks, and they are free to use on the iRacing service, which I absolutely love as an idea. You can get the old Pocono, the old Texas Motor Speedway, Michigan as well. Those are some fantastic ideas for those who are trying to watch. But Wayne Burke pretty much just trying to set it up, playing that tactical game of chess at 200 kilometers an hour plus 250 kilometers an hour plus on the Hangar Straight. But again, there's draft that helps Danny Davison just break away.
Yeah, that's it. It looks like the way these two are driving, Danny Davison really widening his entries and straightening his exit, whereas Wayne Burke certainly diving the corners late under brakes. Certainly I can see a completely different driving style between these two. I think Burke's actually quicker overall, but he's kind of being balked on the entries by Davison, but Davison's exits are so good because of how he's driving it that Burke just can't get anywhere up the straights.
Wayne Burke's a fast in, slow out driver, and you've got Danny Davison, who's a slow in, fast out driver. So that's going to be tough then. Wayne Burke needs to find a way through, but he's just not able to. But you can see just how much he wants to try and get this through 1 into 2, and then the big braking zone at turn 3 again. Just trying to set that up, even though that corner feels like a hairpin down at turn 3. It looks more 90 degrees than anything else, but you take it with such a wide line, you're trying to carry as much speed as possible. It does make life very difficult for drivers to go in and make that move. You almost have to stop it on a dime and then look at the battle behind, because look at what Kurt Sternberg's got to try and deal with right now. Briggs and Thompson wanted to get back through.
Yeah, that's it. Kurt Stenberg, I think in terms of movers of shakers, we were talking about him earlier, but I think week to week mover and shaker, he's probably one of the biggest. Like, last week at Sebring, we saw him throw it on the front of the grid, and then pretty much being lined up for a third or fourth place result until it all went downhill on that last lap. Whereas now, this week, we're seeing him not even in the top 15. So, Stenny having a bit of a rough week here at Silverstone.
It is fair to say that, as Sean Thompson wants to get close to Briggs, but not close enough. Then into Cop's corner as he slightly misses the apex through there, and that's going to hurt him on the run all the way through Magnussen Beckett's in terms of carrying enough speed that is needed. Jordan Ross has fallen off the back of Hampstead and Caruso. He's now looking backwards at Andrew Dyson right now, who maybe has an opportunity to apply some pressure onto the back of the Synergy Sim Racing driver. Dyson going through that final corner, slightly missing the apex a bit, costs him a 10th, but a 10th's okay. He can build that back up again with the draft around here as he heads into the Club and Vale complex. So no real worries right now, but of course we are getting towards that halfway stage, which comes along lap 25. Of course, overall in terms of laps, that'll be lap 12 and a half, lap 13, where we see half distance, and that is about when pit stops become a thought in the back of drivers' minds.
Yeah, that's it. To distract us a bit and look towards our lead, I'm so impressed with Jake Maloney. He's certainly not been the number one TTR driver pretty much at any time he's been in TTR, really, but tonight he's really turning it on, and ERT know their way around this track. Admittedly, it was in the old car and in a completely different time, but in last year's Scops around here, if you remember rightly, I'm pretty will certainly know their way around, and Maloney is managing to pull a margin here, even with Scott in the tow.
Yeah, he certainly is at the moment, and he is pulling James Scott in tow, but he is starting to just pull away, break apart a little bit here with a 10th here over that last lap as we focus a little bit further behind here. This is Jordan Ross, who's now looking backwards here. Andrew Dyson is all over him as they head to Cop's corner. There's just half a car between them at the moment on the exit as they extend to one car length, but that is all you need to be close enough for Andrew Dyson. He's just got to cover it here through the lefts and the rights. Not much aero dependency on these vehicles, so it is just a little bit tougher to go through these corners. You really have to slow them down, and slowing them down from a big speed with the brakes they've got does become tough. But on the exit there, Jordan Ross, another good little complex there, Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel. But again, Andrew Dyson able to bring himself within one car, but there is a look to the inside, and he's closed right up, gives him a tap. Slide there from Jordan Ross, able to save it. That's the shot, that's the unsettled moment, and now into the pits he goes.
Yeah, so we saw quite a few of our runners into the lane. I believe Madison down the first on track to make the call. Him seemingly struggling with those tyres. It makes sense for him to take a bit of a risk and see if he can pull the margin down to those leaders. But we also saw Harley Haber and Richard Hampstead, as well as Jordan Ross, like we said, also into the...
Well, also in the pits, Wayne Burke and Ryan O'Sullivan deciding it's time to make their stop. So we get the first battle of pit crews here today, and this is going to be key in terms of how they get themselves in and how they get themselves out. They'll have to take fuel, they'll take tyres as well to get themselves the advantage, and this is going to be a tough couple of laps to get them up to speed, but they know they have to, so everyone followed Madison as a shining example down onto the lane. Off and away goes Madison down, and he has really got an advantage over Harley Haber through that pit lane sequence, and away goes Richard Hampstead. A slow stop though for what would actually not necessarily Jordan Caruso, he's still out, but Hampstead with a good stop nevertheless as he gets himself out and away, not a million miles away from Harley Haber and co.
Yeah, really interesting that delta between Madison and Harley. Harley was driving hard, but he had Madison's tow while Madison had clear air, so you would expect that Harley would save a bit more fuel. So either Madison was pretty much saving that whole stint to try and close that margin to the leaders, or he just, has perhaps gone for a little bit of a riskier strat to try and get himself in that lead battle.
Or the other philosophy maybe, person, is that United Esports have got something wrong and they've overfilled Harley.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. There's some pretty switched-on strategists in that team. I find it unlikely, but you never know. It'll be interesting to see the gap between
leaders.
Madison and James Scott because, you know, he was about 3.5 seconds back when they came into the lane. So if he's closed that significantly, we know that Madison's taken a bit of a risk.
Well, in comes Scott, in comes Maloney, and in also comes Jordan Caruso. That's going to be key. Dyson in, Davison in, Lee Ellis is going to come in. Tom Free is going to stay out then for a 12th lap in this race. Sam Sutton, Kurt Stenberg also going to come in and get a stop. Is going to be Sean Thompson. But staying out will be the likes of Zach Hanlon, Brady Myers and co. So Ultra's going long in terms of this opening stop. But this is where it becomes key right now, where we see this. Caruso hitting his box. Scott versus Maloney right now as they look to try and get their fuel, their tyres, and get themselves out and going again. They should retain the net race lead in terms of their stops unless something drastic has happened over the last couple of laps. There goes Maloney, and he's got a fair distance over James Scott, who was very late to his box when he was coming down the pit. So that's going to be the key that we're looking at here. James Scott struggling on the line on braking, and Madison Down is right behind Burton.
Yeah, and these tyres on this V7 tyre model do take some time to come on, so it wouldn't surprise me if Madison had a significant amount of pace in this first lap over James Scott. As we say, I think that pretty much sort of ratifies the theory that we were saying that Madison's taking a bit of a risk as we see.
Oh, no. Round there. Wayne Burke turning Andrew Dyson, who was struggling on the fresh tyres. Well, he's got them heated up now after all of that spinning, but that was a case of a narrow line. Wayne Burke having to pounce early on the fresh tyres, and oh, you just felt that where was Wayne Burke supposed to go there?
Yeah, the trajectory was looking a little into the side of Dyson there. He started to come off the curb as they made contact, so I think Berkey might have been in a little deep there, but either way, shame for Dyson, but Berkey's going to push on. And as we say, Madison Down with warm tyres, fighting James Scott into this S's section. Round the outside, can he do it? Backs out.
Backs out though, but he's going to get a good setup here. Why goes Scott as he's defending every corner here at Chapel, and now the hanger straight is all Madison's right now. He leaves him room on the inside. He would have gotten the call from the spotter to go wide, and now goes defensive into what is this Stowe corner, which is the prime place to make the move. Madison Down trying around the outside to get this one done, but now he gets the power and he gets the advantage down at the Vale corner, and then Club will come up afterwards. More drivers down in on the lane, but James Scott trying to fight this one here as he knows he's got no room. Keeps it in, contact, round goes Madison. And that is how it all ends in a battle. It's the same as what happened with Briggs.
It was a pretty much splitting image of exactly what we saw 3 or 4 laps ago with Briggs and Hanlon. So, yeah, Madison, I think he thought he was clear. Madison, of course, racing in VR. I think that a lot of guys don't know about Madison, that he actually races in VR. And that may have limited him a little bit there with knowing whether he was clear. And the resulting contact, as we see on the replay here, unfortunately not very good for Madison. But I think that is pretty much given this race to Maloney as long as he doesn't make any mistakes.
Well, never say never, but James Scott was always going to have a nose down the inside there, and Madison Down couldn't shut the door the way that he wanted to, and he's dropped 2 places because of that. So Maloney finds himself right in second position. One driver yet to stop, Tom Freer only yet to stop at the moment. So and Silvassi as well, who's a little bit further down, but you got Harley Haber who got through in that. Madison Down now being chased by Richard Hampstead and co at the moment. You've also got this battle going on. Ryan O'Sullivan, Danny Davison out there on track. This is going to be a key little scrap to see here in the second half of this race.
Yeah, that's it, of course. These guys started similar sort of spot on the grid. They've been floating around here all race, but you do have Lee Ellis, and looks like he's looking pretty racy on the back of Brady Myers at the moment, though. So those guys both running wide through that right-hander there, both copping the 1x penalty, and you do have Zach Hanlon a little bit further back as well. I think Zach's good.
He's got Sam Sutton on the back, as also you have Corey Preston with Damien Johnstone, Christian Smart, the 2 Gonro teammates there together on the road. That's going to be interesting, as it seems like we've got a pack of 2 and a pack of 2, and it seems a pack of 2 everywhere at the moment. And look at this from James Scott. He let through Harley Haber then, so has there been a mistake this lap then? from James Scott at a point. Oh, he may have just had a slowdown penalty coming through Chapel Corner. He was very tight going through that section, and he may have just had to let through Harley Haber and co, and now Madison down. He's on the back again.
Yeah, I think he's taken a little bit too big of a bite of the cookie there, and he's given it up to Harley Haber, and he's now going to be within range of Madison down. I think this fight for second is going to get really interesting, as we had Richard Hampstead there late under brakes, nearly wiping out his teammate there coming to that right-hander. These guys had an awesome battle last week at Sebring, so I think Madison will not only want to be attacking to try and get his second place.
3 wide, Hanlon and also Freer out to the pit. Sam Sutton looking. Freer with the inside as they go through turn 4 towards 5 in the Wellington straight. And has he got the nose? No, he hasn't. The Hanlon around the outside. The cold tyres hurting. And here comes Sutton with the Uber run as he tries to go through. They cross the beam somehow. Hanlon defending it well on the inside. But Tom Freer, I think, yes, gives it up then to Sam Sutton.
That was an awesome bit of driving by Hanlon. That,
oh, look at Sutton down the inside.
And they make contact on exit, but Sutton gets the move done. I love that bit of driving from Zach Hanlon. That was straight from Parramatta Speedway there, coming through that left-hand king. Had the thing right cracked sideways to try and get round the outside of
coming
Freer.
back.
But Hanlon now to the inside of Sutton. Sutton's going to turn in, and Sutton's going to maintain position.
For now, but look how close they are. You can't fit a cigarette paper between them now. Freer behind, also dealing with battles. Here's Andrew Dyson, who had a poor stop, wanted to try and get back some positions as well. And on the back of that, Kurt Stenberg joins 5-car train in the mid-pack now, having a big scrap of things out there on the road. That's going to be key to go through right now, as here comes James Scott thinking about Harley Haber down at the Vale corner. Not happening there for him, but everywhere you look, there's battles. Hanlon back down the inside into Stowe corner, and the position is made.
And Freer makes a big mistake on entry there as well. He's going to give up a position to Dyson and maybe even Stenberg. If Stenberg can hold the outside here, there could be something on. They get squeezed. No contact yet.
No contact yet, but you can see Freer is sliding about like a pig in grease at this point in time. He knows that he needs to try and get himself going forward, but the tyres aren't there. Second and third, though. James Scott trying to line up Harley Haber. His defence skills are underrated, remember, his Harleys, as he goes up through the gears, in through the left-hander, and now James Scott thinking about prizing open second place once again after his own mistake. Thinks about the inside down at Brooklands corner. It's covered every stage of the way.
That's it. These guys need to remember as well, there's still 10 laps of racing to get through. They've got to make these tyres, they've got to make their fuel, and they've got to make the panels on their race cars last another 10 laps. You've got Richard Hampstead, who was quite fast early closing in. As we look back to Brady Myers fighting with Lee Ellis, these two quite good mates, so I think they'll probably stay out of each other's door.
Well, they did just as such with the position change there, as one Mr. Brady Myers getting past Lee Ellis as he very comfortably got himself going forward. But look at this train. If anything happens second on backwards, then any one of these drivers could find themselves a second place, a podium. It's all available here, and this is the key fight as well. There's 2 ERT cars, there's 2 Trans-Tasman cars, and then you got Harley Haber and the United Esports team trying to hold all of them back. Defends to the inside does Harley Haber here at Stowe Corner. A lot earlier on the brakes than what Mr. Scott is, and they're going to go panel to panel through this fantastic corner. Scott's got the inside opened here as they head to the next left here of the Vale corner, and Haber trying to get the up and under. It was deep then from Scott, and look at this for opening up. Nice and narrow then from James Scott trying to cover it. Here's some brilliant scrapping between the two.
Yeah, Madison's going to end up in front here if these two aren't careful, and it's going to bring Richard Hampstead and an extremely pacey Jordan Caruso as well. Caruso's had an awesome couple of laps. His pace is mega, fastest of any of this lot, and now it's Madison versus Haber.
It is, and well, Scott's got the move, and he'll try and break away. Haber's looking in his mirrors, and I think some rear view mirror driving is not going to be helping in terms of his overall pace. Good run as well from Caruso on the back of Richard Hampstead. He might have an opportunity to go out there and attack, but you can see how much it costed on that last lap compared to one Mr. Jake Maloney. That time by Maloney was a full second quicker than James Scott, who had to try and make the move and defend. No attacks then into the next left-hander. They don't have to worry about that, but look at this side-by-side in the background here, because Tom Freer and Kurt Stenberg and Andrew Dyson going at it at the moment. Dyson can't defend this one, boxes in. Stenberg is trying to bump her way through here, and there's Tom Freer, nice on the inside, but there could be a transfer, but Tom Freer, so much corner speed.
Yeah, this is the great thing, isn't it, Sperry, about Silverstone? As I said, terrible track to hot lap, but how's the racing we see? So much direction change just inspires this racing with such big braking zones, such tough acceleration zones. Really, really good battles throughout the field.
Well, this is what you call a true racer's circuit then, in terms of the way that all these scraps go. Haber's going to be under pressure on the hanger straight once again on the back end of lap 16 here of 25. Here comes Madison Down, the legend of Australian sim racing that he is, looking maybe for the inside line here at Stowe Corner. No opportunity to defend this one. Harley trying to go around the outside to cover, and it's going to be easier for him to defend that way. He gets it good, but now he's going to have to go really narrow, move across onto your racing line, and there's Madison Down trying the outside. He gets, two wheels over, contact. Haber gets turned, and he was defending a bit hard, and Madison Down left with no room at the end, but maybe the two tyres on the anti-cut didn't help.
Yeah, I actually think that Madison planned to get overcut on the left-hand side of Haber, but he's hit that curb, which actually just made the car understeer, and he'd already got on the throttle by that point, and I think he was expecting to be left of Haber, and the curb's just thrown him straight into Harley's quarter panel. Of course, totally Madison's mistake there, I think, but certainly one with no malice or intent behind it.
Exactly, Madison Down, one of the nicest characters you'll find up and down any paddock that you will find. Haber now drops himself just in front of Wayne Burke to 7th place. And oh my goodness me, here as wide goes Jordan Caruso, who very, very nearly and in total disaster with Richard Hampstead. A replay up on screen for you. Look at this then from Caruso, getting really aggressive in terms of the way he wants to make this move on Richard Hampstead. He thought his time was now, thought about the inside, didn't get it, looked to the outside then, which would turn to the inside once more. There's the lunge down the inside to get that done. It was a wonderful move, but then a bit of contact with Hampstead on the exit then of turn 5, and you can see, oh yes indeed.
Yeah. I think Hampstead probably didn't appreciate the bomb there from Caruso, so Hampstead's given him the classic kip and shoulder on exit, which has pretty much dispatched him. I think Richard's going to be able to pull away now. I think Caruso really took some meat out of those tyres when he was going so quick catching that pack. Although his pace doesn't seem too bad, I think there'll certainly be a return serve if he manages to catch it.
Well, a turn serve might just be the case, but Caruso's going to have to catch here, and that's going to be the tougher challenge here on this one. So we'll see how he goes as he looks to try and break the 1-3-4 at the moment for Trans-Tasman Machines at the moment, with ERT looking to make it 2 and 4 in this race with Jordan Caruso, who's really rocketing along at the moment. Haber having to defend though behind. His tyres may just be overheated a little bit as Wayne Burke now tries to open up the inside coming through the club corner, and he just doesn't have enough for a run, and that checkup here has brought Danny Davison in, but Davison nowhere to go on that profile's final corner.
Yeah, that's it. I know Berkey and love for each other, so I'm really keen to see the fight there. However, Caruso catching up to Richard Hampstead again. This is a fight that I really want to watch. This Caruso aura trying to show a nose in on Richard. I don't think he appreciated that bit of a hip and shoulder, but I can tell you Richard Hampstead is not a man you want to be in a feud with, so he's got to be quite careful.
There's quite a few people you can ask about being in a feud with Richard Hampstead. Burton, you are one yourself about 3 years ago at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, well, I think I probably won the award for best hip and shoulder that day, but certainly Richard is not a guy who backs down, and he's happy to feed it back. He's one of the guys who actually, if you race him clean, he generally will race you clean, which is great. But of course, if you make a mistake and get in at his door, he'll hit you 3 times harder.
Yeah, he's very much a give and take driver. He gives his and then he takes his back. as he goes on in terms of his race in 3rd position overall at this moment in time. Very good talent in terms of driving is Richard Hampstead. In fact, sorry, 4th position he finds himself at this point. So we'll see how that one looks to continue the longer this race goes on. Other position changes. Ryan O'Sullivan's lost the place to Brady Myers over the course of this lap. Brady is fast approaching the back of the train. He's matching leader's pace, and he is a 1.5 seconds quicker every lap on Harley Haber.
Yeah, Brady's actually been a bit of a quiet assassin in this race. Remember, he was backwards on lap 1, and we talked about how it's a long race and he'll be able to come back. He's managed to get that Altus Commodore up to P11. His pace is mega, and I think he's very quickly going to be up in amongst this fight for 8th as well.
Yeah, he certainly will. It's the fight for 7th position that he's thinking about. Haber there in 7th, Burke in 8th, Davison in 9th, and there's one Mr. Brady Myers in 10th place, bit between the teeth. It's time to knuckle down and make sure things are going to work. Look at Jordan Caruso, though, once again. Great run through turn 2. Opens the door, looking for the inside at turn 3. Does not scare Richard Hampstead through that section, and that may have just cost him his run all the way up the Wellington. But look at the cornering speed that Caruso is able to hang here with Richard Hampstead. They go through the left-hand corner, but that very slight dirty air effect there, costing him any shot of a run here to the inside.
Yeah, that's it. I think Caruso's pace is a little bit better. These TTR cars, obviously with the exception of Jake Maloney, of course, seem to be struggling a little bit in this second half of the stint, although we did see him pit quite early. I think Madison Down was the first to jump into the lane, so no surprise these guys are starting to struggle a little bit compared to their competitors, but I think Richard will still defend the likes of Caruso nonetheless.
That very much is the case, though. It's all about defending, and Harley Haber's going to have to do it again. Wayne Burke's been cooped up underneath for the last couple of laps, and will be hoping to get through because there is a very quick Brady Myers on his way to the back of this train, and I don't think anybody wants to be dealing with that as they head through. It's 6 to go when they hit the stripe, and look how aggressive Haber was there through the opening corner. He's using everything in his wheelbase to try and get himself further forward, every advantage he can, making sure he doesn't get an off-track penalty point. He can go, can Harley Haber, but he's got to go at a limit that he knows that the tyres are not letting him at the moment.
Yeah, that's it. Harley and Berkey, both real-life background in terms of...
Off, Ryan O'Sullivan.
Yeah, it looks like we've seen Ryan O'Sullivan. Not sure what's happened.
He got the
there.
grass.
Yeah, but he's also
he
done
blew
an
the
engine. Yeah, he's done an
he
engine
blew the
there.
engine up, trying to slow it down. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened there. That thing's popped straight away. That was really, really odd. Almost like a sort of double downshift kind of situation as we get a replay of it. That's one of the weirdest blows I've ever seen because it's quite late. It's normally the first gear or two that you sort of shift that goes, but that looked quite late in the stops. Big shame for O'Sullivan. He'd had a good race.
Myers! Oh, he's made contact with Danny Davison, and he just about holds it together. Davison now will have to fight hard on the inside here through turn 4. I thought that ended in total disaster. Oh, and he gives him to the outside there. That's a bit of a receipt there from Danny Davison. He was not happy.
Yeah, I get that, but I also think that was a bit of a dumb one. It was a big mistake by Brady to tap him, but those guys both sort of sorted themselves out, and now they've completely eliminated themselves from that battle for 7th, so I'm not too sure why Davison decided to do that, but I'm sure Brady will come back swinging.
Well, he will come back swinging, but Danny Davison, I think, has just let anger take over in terms of his driving. He'll be driving with a hot head, and sometimes that can be easier for some drivers. For others, it can be a little bit harder to try and get by. So we'll see how Danny Davison deals with this. And look at Caruso once again. Good run here as he gets himself through. Motor Simulation replay up on screen. This is Caruso trying to get close here through these lefts and rights. We're live, actually. We just come off of replay. My apologies. But you can see that gap. 0.3 of a second right now. Caruso still in the wheelhouse.
Yeah, this fight's still on, although Madison Down's pace has been a little average the last couple of laps. I think Richard might stand half a chance at catching Madison if he's made these couple of mistakes, but Brady Myers at it again by the looks with Davison. Brady doing the nice guy thing and actually doesn't feed Davison wide. Let's see what happens when they come down here to the final chicane. Could we see another Briggs, Hanlon, down Haber style situation?
No.
No, Brady Myers drives it straight round the outside.
Yeah, and that's just the difference in terms of pace at the moment. Danny Davison's got nothing in the tyres compared to one driver. Here's Zach Hanlon, though, side by side out of the final corner, fighting with Lee Ellis here. All contact as they head towards turn number 1. So we'll see how Hanlon goes down the inside. Tough place to go down the inside, but it's well covered and scouted by Lee Ellis. Good scrapping, but turn 3. Oh, look at the run through 2 Hanlon gets. He'll go down to the inside to try and get this one done. Oh, slow it up, slow it up, slow it up. Lee Ellis around the outside.
Yeah, Hanlon's actually done the right thing there, and he's sort of half spun the car to try and not hit Lee Ellis. So he's actually a good bit of car control there from Zach Hanlon to not get into the side of Lee Ellis, and these guys will live to fight another day.
And that's one of the big difficulties with that turn 3 corner, Burton, is the fact that the iRacing spotter is very, very tough at that section. Because the track is so wide, you could be technically ahead on the road, but still side by side and not get a call that a car's beside you.
Yeah, that's it. It's all about spatial awareness at that point. We're very privileged in iRacing to be granted the spotter in pretty much any series we race in. In real life, these guys don't have a spotter. It's really only your NASCAR and IndyCar guys that have that. So it's really all about spatial awareness, and that's what takes your experienced drivers, a cut above.
Yeah, it certainly does, and it's all about looking around you. Who's there behind you? Who's beside you? Where do you battle, and how good can you battle? As now Caruso's falling away from Richard Hampstead a little bit, and suddenly it's the spirit that breaks for Caruso's 4th place finish, as Hampstead now almost at 1 second at this moment in time. Still got a couple of scraps, and it's right behind Zach Hanlon and Lee Ellis, where they've got to worry, because if they keep fighting the way that they did earlier on as they go through, that's going to be key. As at the moment, it's going to be key. Caruso, I think, doesn't have enough fuel to make it to the end.
You wouldn't pit that early if it was fuel. I think we're going to possibly see a drive-through here for incidents. As I said, it's very easy to clock up 17. Oh, no, he's actually coming into the box, so... Oh, no, he's not.
Maybe
we'll
it
see
is
what
a shot
Caruso,
of
yeah.
30 seconds for getting that limit. So you can see he's going to wait, he's going to stop, and he's going to be there, I think, for not long at all. I think that's a splash and dash.
And he stopped almost straight away. That's weird. It's
That's
really
a splash and
odd.
dash.
I don't know what's... Yeah, but why did he stop again after he left the pit box? That's a little bit weird going on there from Jordan Caruso. And surely if you splash and dash, you're not going to stop for 6 seconds. That's a little bit of a weird one.
Oh my goodness me, Lee Ellis. Great scrap though at the moment. Sorry to cut you off there, Burton. Freer's going to go around. Freer goes spread eagle sideways like Damon Hill in 95. And he gets himself going again nicely though. Dyson just there ahead with Sam Sutton. What on earth happened there? There was side by side off the exit there. Ellis and also Tom Freer. And look at this off of the exit. Contact between the two. Ellis out to Narnia with Tom Freer. Sam Sutton with a freebie.
Yeah, really interesting bit of driving there. Sam Sutton and Lee Ellis. These guys are actually teammates in the Scots Bathurst 1000 one year. Not many people know that or remember that, because I'm pretty sure they ended up upside down about 13 laps into the race. But nonetheless, these guys, veterans of it, and they've got, by the looks of it, Andrew Dyson, far from a veteran compared to these two, right in the meat of the sandwich.
Yeah, right in the meat, and hoping for a bit of gravy as they go on for the final couple of laps. Just 3 laps to go for Jake Maloney at the front of this field, and absolutely waltzing through he is at the moment in a race where he was only challenged in the early stages. A good pit stop has put him a mile ahead at the moment. Ellis gets back through on Sam Sutton then, picks up the position, did so down inside. In fact, also getting through is Andrew Dyson. Sam Sutton there on the brakes early, just got absolutely mugged.
Yeah, complete freight train going down there. I'm surprised that Lee Ellis has managed to pull that up. I'm questioning if maybe we might have seen a slowdown or something from Sam Sutton. It doesn't really make sense. He's not the kind of guy to give up a position that easily. So I feel like there's something else to that story there. Lee Ellis with a bit of a rear lock coming into turn 3 there. But Yeah, looking back up a little bit further forward, Brady Myers, who's had one of the most interesting races of the lot, is now all over the back of Wayne Burke. Brady, serious pace. Burkey's sideways. Brady's going to get a bit of an overlap.
He certainly is, and look in front of that as well. Harley Haber and Jordan Ross fighting for a top 5 at the moment, and that's going to be key to have a look at here as this continues. So Wayne Burke all of a sudden looking behind at Brady, hoping that he's not going to dive at Copse Corner. He's not going to dive at Copse Corner. Haber tries to look around the outside of Copse Corner, and Neria Sol has made a move around the outside of Copse.
That's it. I think this is all going to come down to the hanger straight. Slow down. Harley ran too wide, and it looks like Harley's got a slow down there. He's really lost some pace by the looks of it, although now it seems to have come back a little bit. A bit of a slow entry to the S's from Harley, but Brady Myers is certainly going to have an overlap here on Wayne Burke as they go down the hanger straight. Wayne gives him the inside of the track. Harley Haber's going to have enough of an overlap, and I think he's going to have enough speed. He's just going to outbrake him. Yeah, Wayne Burke lets him go. Awesome drive from from Brady Myers. Sorry, he was last at the end of turn 1, and he's managed to get that Altus Commodore back up to P7.
That tells you all you need to know right now, as he's hoping that 6th and 5th aren't a million miles away. He's got 2 laps to get there, and he knows he's only a handful of seconds behind. If that is just 1, he knows he's got to go out there and get there quickly. The gap between them is 1.4 seconds from Myers to Haber. I'm pretty sure he can close that up, but Harley's going to have to go hard here against Jordan Ross, who is very good in the late stages of the race, especially on old and warm tyres at defending places. So we'll see how Harley goes as they head through 3 into 4, as they look down for the Wellington Straight once again at turn 5, as they look to try and make their push. This is going to be a key battle here, but it's all about Brady closing up, but he is going to need a little bit of help, as will this massive battle pack behind. Ellis holding a 3-car train, and side by side, Steady and Preston going at it, and ironically, we've heard none of Corey Preston today.
Yeah, well, the race is still young, Sperry. There's still 2 laps to get through, so we won't hold our fingers crossed just yet, but Stenny seemingly got the move done for now. I'm really interested to see what Brady Myers can make of this. This will be a sensational result. If he can manage to get around Jordan Ross and Harley Haber towards the end of this race, that will be a P4 to last back to P5, and that is a mega drive if he manages to make it happen.
Absolutely it would be, but of course there are a lot of scraps going on in this final lap, not for your race leader, Jake Maloney, who is about to start that lap in just a few corners time. Harley Haber close, but look at how much Brady Myers is ragging on the tyres as he goes onto the hanger straight. He was sideways ever so slightly, trying to pull that gap in under a second, and I think he just has over the course of this lap, so that's going to be key for the last lap of this race. Behind that, Sam Sutton trying to get by Lee Ellis, Tom Freer on the back of this as well, and then a little bit behind that, Preston, Johnstone, Briggs, and Kurt Stenberg, and I think Preston has lost a couple of places going through turn 1. In fact, well, the old turn 1, he has at Copse Corner, ran in too deep into the back of one Mr. Kurt Stenberg, went sideways, lost the places, so that's going to hurt in terms of the way this is going. Back, though, we go towards this battle, 5th, 6th, 7th, and also now you think about how close this is going to be as they go on through into turn 1, 2, 3 comes up once more as they hit the brakes and go through. Jordan Ross keeping it at arm's length here, exactly what he needs to as they go through. But look at how wide Harley Haber goes. He invites open one Mr. Brady Myers to get within a couple of handfuls here, trying to make this move. Behind that, though, you can still see Tom Freer spreading all sideways, trying to get the moves done. He's not going to have anything working at the moment. On the brakes, though, 5th, 6th, 7th are once again into Brooklands and Luffield, the old final corners that end the first sector now of this track. And Harley Haber very narrow as he goes through. Jordan Ross knows that Haber is looking behind and not in front, and that will be the runaway, the getaway that he needs on the train with all the money in the back of his car as he looks to try and push on forward. You look at the moment at Brady Myers, you hope that he can find a move, but at the moment he's just not finding it, it seems, at this point. Briggsy trying to get away through, and Kurt Stenberg as well. That's close, but at the moment not close enough. But there are the final stages of this race still to go at this point in time. Through these few lefts and rights, Haber still having to defend hard here from Brady Myers, but Myers is doing a great job and has got himself an opportunity now down at Stowe Corner, but heading through the Vale over to the club, and now Jake Maloney can realise a potential that has long been forever in the midst. Jake Maloney dominates here at Silverstone and wins outright. It will be James Scott second and Madison down in third. Here comes Brady Myers, though. He'll have to have a lunge here if he wants to get it done. And look at this. Haber's going to defend with a lunge of his own down the inside. Oh, best defense is an offense. No room in the end there to try and slot back into line. And they're struggling. Oh, is he out of fuel? He's Jordan Ross out of fuel. Yes, he is. Haber's going to get one. And so is Brady Myers.
What a mega end to that race. Have to say I'm not a big fan of the strategy from Harley Haber of, I'm going to get sent, let's send it on the next guy. But he managed to do so cleanly and with Jordan Ross running.
Oh, what a save there. Johnstone has stolen it by 7 thousandths over Adam Briggs on the line. Wow.
Looks like a lot of guys were running out of fuel as they came towards the end of this race. I'm not too sure what happened there, but I think Steady was actually running out of fuel, and I think that bump got him across the line in front of Adam Briggs by the looks of it. Guys just running out of fuel left, right, and centre.
Yeah, Briggsy there, ultimately just getting mobbed at the line by Damian Johnstone. They're right at the end, so that's everybody across the line there or thereabouts. Official classified results will get them up on your screen for you. Jake Maloney wins in 51 minutes and 31 seconds. His margin, 9.2. It come the end over James Scott. He walked away with it. Come the end, Madison down a solid third place finish after starting in fifth, with Richard Hampstead in fourth and Harley Haber having to steal a position on the final corner in fifth. He was ahead of Brady Myers in sixth position, who was hounding him the entire last lap. Jordan Ross running out of fuel has cost him 2 positions for his team. Danny Davison is in ninth with Wayne Burke ahead of him in 8th place, who was right on the back of Jordan Ross, so to speak. But Zach Hanlon, give him some credit. He was up 8 places as your joint biggest mover and shaker in the field today. A top 10 for the Altus man.
And over the page we go, Andrew Dyson, a guy who was in amongst some fights all race, in P11th. Lee Ellis and Sam Sutton, 12th and 13th, with Tom Freer and Kurt Stenberg running out of fuel in the last few hundred metres of this race in 15th, with Damian Johnston in 16th, Adam Briggs 17th, Corey Preston, who got himself into some late race trouble, much like we actually thought he would, in P18th, with Christian Smart and Jordan Caruso rounding out your 20.
Well, we don't mean ill will on Corey Preston. He does have a reputation of getting involved here and there, but it was just the smallest bit of contact. It only cost him 2 positions in the end and no positions for Kurt Stenberg. I wouldn't call that big trouble. Christian Smart was 19th and John Caruso 20th, as we said. But Sean Thompson 21st, Brian Borg and Martin Silvassi getting over the line. Technical issues forcing the retirement of Bo Cattell, the blown engine for Ryan O'Sullivan, and very early Ross Rizzo in the Trick Esports car is going to have a long day to recover any lost iRacing and safety rating out of that race. But wow, what a big race that turned out to be here, Burton. A strong battle there as we look towards racing in 1 week's time, as we do every week here on a Monday night.
Yeah, that's it. I can't talk Brady Myers up enough tonight. We spoke about him finishing P6. That, and Zach Hanlon being the biggest mover and shaker of the race. Brady, I think, was the biggest mover and shaker of the race. He went from 4th to last and then back to 6th. Brady and I don't always see eye to eye, but that is a mega drive from that man in the Altus machine.
Yeah, it was a fantastic drive, and talking of mega drives, they will need to in a week's time. Barca Historic coming up, Burton. That is a track which demands driving at absolutely everything.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I think that'll be the first time we've seen the new supercars at that layout. I believe last season we ran a shortened, I think, national config with that weird first corner hairpin. So in my opinion, the historic layout is actually the best layout to run at Catalunya, because it's got the fast and flowing first few corners that we get to run in these supercars without that horrific chicane in these cars throughout the last section. So I think we're in for a treat of a race, and then on to a personal favourite of mine at Belle Isle the week after.
Wow, it's going to be a treat the next 2 weeks. The only place you can catch that is on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe and support all our fantastic friends on this channel. Of course, we've had some fantastic sim races come over in the last couple of weeks. We've seen IndyCar, we've seen NASCAR, we've seen IMSA, we have seen pretty much everything you want and a whole lot more come over to iRacing. Make sure that you join in the fun as well as we make our push towards 40,000 and 50,000 subscribers here on YouTube. But in terms of who gets it done for SimSpeed TV, Motum Simulations have been magic again, sponsoring our replays. Jay Kennedy has been on the cameras and Jake Burton has been alongside. I've been Jake Sperry, and there is Jake Maloney making life a treat. It was a doddle come the end for him, but he will need to bounce back and continue on this rich vein of form, because he knows he has the capability. He has the ability to go out there and be a world-class caliber driver. He now only has to prove it when he comes to Barcelona. We'll see you in a week's time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness! Half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?